part of the team at Identify behind developing this tool with us. Over to you, Niranjan.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Niranjan. I am leading the product at Privy, which is a consent governance solution coming from the house of Identify. I am standing before you representing my team from Privy and the team at DSCI in doing a quick demo walkthrough of the platform that we have built. Before that, some context. A lot of the panelists did speak about the obligations of DPDP Act, how should you collect consent, checkbox-based consent, etc. We all share multiple kinds of PA data in various kinds of digital journeys on the internet. And there's a tiny little checkbox that you see on the left-hand side, which says, I agree to terms and conditions and privacy policy, right? Or some equivalent statements of sorts, right? The DPDP Act eventually says that, or urges everybody to think beyond the checkbox, right? And move from checkbox-based consent, which is about privacy policy and TNC documents, to a notice-based consent collection, where each of your consents are specifically defined, unambiguous, free of sort, and there's clear affirmative actions to it, right? The notice generator platform that we have built does this job for us here. It's a small effort from our side to sort of help the privacy community in this country to move from checkbox-based consent to the notice-based consent, right? How does it work? We basically collect three kinds of details from you, which is the name of the journey or the digital journey to which you require the notice for. Second is you just enter the industry to which the digital journey belongs to, and the privacy policy that you already have, right? So with these three details in mind, our AM models, which we have trained with in excess of 10,000 privacy policies of Indian companies, do the magic for you. It primarily does two things. It identifies the purposes that are, it goes through all the line statements of the privacy policy, identifies the purposes that are mentioned in each of the, in the privacy policy, and maps each of the purposes to the PI data that is mentioned there. So it's intelligent enough to sort of identify the purpose and then map the PI data to it, and vice versa as well, identify the PI data and map the purposes to it. Let me give an example. If the privacy policy mentions collection of PAN document, right, and the journey name is, let's say, loan application, and obviously it belongs to banking industry, RBI kicks in there, our AI models are intelligent enough to identify that PAN collection means credit underwriting, there is information being shared to CIC companies, there is credit score check being happening, and eventually you will see this transform in a notice that gets generated. So I'll just do a quick step-by-step demo and then play a 60-second video which just flows from in one go. Right, to start with, there are a couple of basic details that we collect, which is your company name and the email ID. Disclaimer, we are not using any of these details to do cross-selling or any other purposes out here. The name of your company will show up in the notice. The email that you provide will just share the generated notice to that email ID and will not be using it for any other purposes. Right? With these, the three details that I mentioned, you just name the digital journey. You just name the digital journey that you require the notice for, in this case, savings bank account, and the industry that it belongs to, which is banking, and upload the privacy policy document out here. Right? With this, within 60 seconds, nearly 60 seconds, you will have the notice generated out here, which has the purposes from the privacy policy in a taxonomy sort of way on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you will see certain recommended consents. Okay. So here what we do is, we take the journey name into consideration, the industry name into consideration, and map the sectoral regulations knowledge base into consideration, which is RBI in this case. There are in excess of around 800 master circulars of RBI. We sort of map the knowledge base of RBI master circulars, the DPDP Act, and the details of your privacy policy to sort of recommend certain consents with the appropriate reasoning as to why we feel this particular consent should be part of this notice over and above the purposes that you mentioned in the privacy document. For example, okay, so before that, so there are three more details here. You can upload the logo of your company. You can choose the languages in which you need the notice to be translated in. And there are certain AI recommendations over here. And if you click on these, this is one example we have. I'll read it out for you. Uh, Account opening verification is one of the recommended consent over here, and there are PI data mapped towards it. And below which you will see the reasoning also as to why our AI agents feel this particular consent has to be part of the notice. Here it says, according to section 26 of RBI's KYC Directions 2016, regular entities are required to maintain records pertaining to the identification of customers and their addresses. This is equivalent to the proof of identity and proof of address directions of RBI, which says about the official valid documents, which is your PAN, Aadhaar, passport, and driving license, which account as proof of address, and there are various other things there. Right? Below the notice, you will also see the rights of the data principals highlighted, along with a consent withdrawal link as well. Post consent collection, where does the data principal go in order to revoke his rights? And also the contact details of DPO in case he feels any of his rights are violated. Right? These are the model that we work in. With this, you just click the generate notice link button, and you will eventually have the link over here. So this is how the notice will eventually look. You will have the top right corner, you have the drop down of the languages out there. You choose the language and the notice gets automatically translated. So like Ashok mentioned, that we have taken care of the context-based translation and transliteration so that the overall meaning of the notice is not lost in terms of doing a hardcore translation of the notice. Yeah, this is another example of, yeah, I'll just leave some time to scan the QR code, post which I'll just play a 90-second video which shows this end-to-end journey in one go. You start with giving the details of your company and the email ID. Sorry. You choose the digital journey, industry, and upload the privacy policy document of your company. And here is where you see all the consent purposes in a hierarchical structure here. These are the purposes that we have extracted from the privacy policy that you uploaded. The one that you see on the right-hand side are the recommended consents. So as the DPDP Act says, definition of consent is eventually a function of PA data and purposes. It cannot be, I'm seeking consent for your phone number. Phone number for what? Phone number for OTP is a separate consent. Phone number for marketing and promotion is a separate consent, and so on and so forth. Which is why the taxonomy that we have built here, which starts with a major purpose, let's say business development out here, and then there are granular purposes defined under it, so that if you're taking a blanket consent, let's say I'm collecting consent for marketing and promotions, and I'm collecting your email ID and phone number, if anybody revokes that consent, everything under that particular purpose is lost. We understand that consent lost is business lost, which is why you granularly define each of these minor purposes out here so that you don't lose out on any of the consents. Yeah. You add the DPO, contact DPO links and the data principal access request links. You also have the option to change the consent duration, titles of the notices. And here we are given an option of choosing 3 out of 22 languages, since it's a compute heavy task for us. Choose 3 languages to which you want the notice to be translated in. You can add any of the AI recommended consents to the notice based on your understanding. Yeah. The notice gets generated and you get the option to translate the entire notice into the language that you have chosen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone.